Hey witches, if you are enjoying Waking Up the Witch, then you're definitely going to want to check out my magical shop, Moonbee's Wellness in Medford, Oregon. We have a curated collection of crystals, incense, sage, witchy books, tarot, oracle, and so much magic made locally here in the Rogue Valley. Whether you're just beginning your witchy path or you've been on this journey for quite a while, we have so many items to support where you are in your journey. And we ship anywhere in the US, so no need to be local. But Moonbees is more than just a shop. We are also a sacred space and supportive to your healing journey. I'm a Reiki master, and I also offer a lot of intuitive sessions, including past life readings and past life regression sessions. And all of this can be done virtually online, so I can help you no matter where you're at. Come visit us in Southern Oregon or follow Moonbees Wellness on Instagram and Moonbees_Medford on TikTok. And remember, magic's this way.
This episode of Waking Up the Witch is brought to you by Taylar Pickett Styles. I'm Taylar Pickett, and I am an intuitive hairstylist in Southern Oregon. I offer in-person services as well as online tutorials on how to care for your curly hair, how to properly shampoo your hair. If you're a hairstylist, I offer lots of education and one-on-one consulting on how to build your clientele and take care of your clients. If you're interested in any of these services, please reach out to me. There will be a link in the bio. I also offer organic hair care from Innocence Organic Beauty, and you can also buy that online through me, link in the bio, and also on my Instagram page, Taylar Pickett Styles. I also have a TikTok page if you're into just talking a little bit more deeply about things, going into deeper dives about hair care, self-love, and self-worth. My TikTok handle is Southern Oregon Curl. And don't forget, tame nothing, nourish everything. Enjoy this episode. I'm Taylar.
And I'm Amber.
And this is
Waking Up the Witch. We're your neighborhood witches. Each week, we talk about all things witchy and connect with other humans in a storytelling format about navigating life on this floating rock.
We're two curious ladies trying to understand the human experience. But while we do that, we think it's important to honor the people that lived here before us and honor the cultures and traditions that we're being inspired by.
This podcast is about waking up the witch, which means we are learning and growing every day. That being said, we are always open to feedback on how we can do better.
The views and opinions of our guests don't necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Waking Up the Witch. Now, let's go, ghouls. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
I'm tired.
Yep.
What did we do this weekend?
Moonlight magic happened, finally.
It happened.
Yeah. Hold on, I have to burp.
Ooh, good push.
Thanks. Yeah, it was big and crazy and epic.
Yeah, I'm still processing because my besties surprised me on Friday for my birthday. You know what, though? Those surprises, that's like one of the best feelings
Yeah, nobody does that for me, so I wouldn't know.
ever.
That's not true. Kate did it once, and I cried really hard.
It's crazy. Like, I'm glad you were there when Cheyenne showed up, too. I could not. I stood up and I was like, nope, I can't stand up. Like,
Well, because she's 30 weeks pregnant and left her toddler at home. Like, I'm pretty sure you didn't expect that to happen.
No, I hoped that when Joey showed up, because they showed up separately, like hours apart, and Joey, well, and also other people in the community orchestrated helping pick them up from the airport, so it was really unexpected. It's not like my husband disappeared and whatever. That was crazy. And when Joey came in, I was surprised and also yay, it happened, because he's sneaky like that. And then I was like, is Cheyenne coming too? And he's like, no, she has children. I'm like, okay, I know, but And, like, we were just having, like, a lot of sentimental, like, messages back and forth, like, literally that day because it's our, like, we call it middle day. It's, like, between me and Joey's birthdays, and it's, like, for all 3 of us, we've always celebrated as, like, our birthday. So,
Cute.
yeah, like, when she, like, walked in later and Ashley, like, picked her up
Mhm.
randomly, I was like, "What?" Like, "And you're here?" And, like, I was so discombobulated and could
Cute.
not stop crying. It was
Oh,
the best.
so cute.
Ugly cries.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was the best, and Moonlight Magic was just, like, so fucking epic.
Everything was
Ugh.
perfect.
Yeah, it came together so nicely, and once all the puzzle pieces were where they needed to be, it was like, "Okay, now we can have a good time."
Yeah, it was perfect. It
Yeah.
was better than I could have ever imagined. I knew it would be good. It was
Mhm.
just so good. I can't wait to do it again and
I
again and again, and it's just
know.
gonna be so different every time.
And it's very exciting because our guest
That's what I
right
was just
now
about to say.
is Danielle, and this one was held at her and her husband's property on their land, and so, like, just really very special to get to share that with them, and oh my god, she was seriously such an amazing, like, 4th business partner in operating all of this, like, so not expected, like, but she was just such a full participant in making it all happen too,
Everything,
and,
yeah.
like, helping to cover costs of things up front, so, like, that was
Helped with decor.
so
They
amazing,
have,
and
like, impeccable taste, so just, like, everything looked
yeah.
so good, and it was
It was
beautiful.
such a great collaboration. I'm just so grateful to both of them and to the land beneath the trees and
And we're recording
oh,
this before we talk to Danielle, which we don't usually do. Excited to get to know her
yeah.
deeper, and I'm sure it'll be emotional, and I
Yes.
can't wait.
Me too.
So enjoy.
Enjoy.
Don't forget to go sign up for Patreon.
Patreon.com/wakingupthewitch.
Don't forget.
Okay, well, if it feels good, let's begin by closing our eyes and just settling into our bodies and taking some deep grounding breaths, breathing in through the nose, holding at the top, and release. Letting it all out and fully arriving to this present moment. Another deep breath in, hold, and exhale. And one last big breath in through the nose. A little more, hold, and fully let go of all the responsibilities and anything else that's not right here, right now. Just settling back into your body, following a normal, regular breath, and taking this time to invite in our higher selves, our spiritual team, and any other loving beings to hold us in a beautiful, safe container for sharing and vulnerability and connection. And just asking for the love and support and guidance to allow for whatever is meant for the highest good of the collective to flow through today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Crease, and I'm so grateful to be here with you.
Yay!
Yeah,
I've been able to share so many things together lately.
I
It's been great.
know.
I love
Yeah,
this for us.
I know. This has been like such a wild journey, and I'm so grateful for our connection. And
Yes,
yeah, you want to tell the listeners what we just did?
Yeah, the timing of this is great
I
too.
know.
yes. Yeah, it was perfect. Well, I guess this past Saturday, the 18th, we just had what would you say, like 200 people
Yep.
total-ish,
Yeah.
maybe around there, on the land that my husband and I get to live on, and we hosted our witches event, and
Yay!
like, just thinking about what that magic and moonlight, slogan is of magic brought or magic created
Rooted
by
in community.
Rooted in community, yes, which is
Uh-huh.
so perfect because that's exactly what I think we just were able to achieve for
Mhm.
Yeah.
around us and for ourselves, and we had all the vendors and the tattoo artists and the drag dancers and burlesque, and it
Ugh.
was just so joyful and so collective and so wonderful.
I also think you saying that, like, all 3 of us moved here, like, kind of around the same time, so it's not like a place that any of us are from,
Mhm.
and so it's like a community that we've all built with each other and for each other, and,
Mhm.
like, a place
Totally.
where we yeah, like, we're drawn to, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is kinda wild. I love that.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, I remember when we first moved here and we would always hear people say like this area either kind of like really absorbs you in or you just don't feel comfortable. You just don't want to be
Yeah.
here. It's to this or to that. And like you kind of
Mhm.
just organically don't stay. And it
Mhm.
just seems like we've all kind of luckily been really yeah, brought in by everyone around us, and I think that's a
Yeah.
reflection of what we want to, like how we wanna serve, how we want to
Mhm.
show up in this community as well, and I think, like, everything that just went down on Saturday was a complete reflection of all of that,
Yeah.
and it was so beautiful.
And all of our
Agreed.
side jobs, like, that we are doing outside of that event, we're all serving the community and, like, taking care of people one-on-one and, like, giving back, so it's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
It
Yeah.
really is magic rooted in community, and I just love that, like, it seems like all of that that has been created is something that the community that has existed here has been craving and
Yeah.
wanting that type of connection or, like, that place of safety and being seen and being able to be, like, who they are, and so it's very special to be able to co-create that with you and with the land of beneath the trees. It really is such a beautiful, amazing space. So thank you so much to you and to Jeff. Like
Yeah.
what you have cultivated on that land is something very special. It was literally the perfect home for this event.
Well,
So
thank
fun.
you all so much. It wouldn't have been possible if we hadn't taken that car ride, Taylor.
Everything in divine time.
I love
Um,
it.
so please tell us how your life led up to living out here in this moment.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, that's such a big question,
I
Mhm.
but
know.
I guess, we spoke a little bit about how this should flow, and I guess, like, we'll kinda start at the beginning, and it ties
Yes,
into
please.
exactly what we were just talking about with, like, the community, like, what we've created for the community, I think, at least for myself, is also what I have been seeking and calling in, I think, like, my
Mm.
entire existence.
Ah,
I grew up in Miami, and I'm the only one who kinda looks like me in my family, so when I was
okay.
in utero, my mom, who's Cuban, and her obviously, that's her descendants, she was like, "There is no way I'm having a blonde, blue-eyed baby, and don't even expect that." My dad's American, but he still has darker features, and she was like, "Don't even think that that's gonna be something that comes out of my body." And then I pop out with, like, white hair and these big blue eyes.
Oh my
Even though I
goodness.
think that was, like, such a wonderful thing, I think it really did kinda set the tone of, like, kind of being the different one or being the surprise of the
Uh-huh.
family, I guess you could say, and that has influenced quite a few things for me, and it's why I'm so grateful for the community we're in now, because even though I was surrounded by a loving family and all of that stuff, there was still something else I was seeking or something that was never, like, fully aligned in regards to this this means of existing and the things that we believe in and how we want to operate through this world. And that's why this whole valley has been such a beautiful blessing because it finally feels like yeah, it was kind of this like weird one in my Cuban Jewish family. And then I came here and so many things have guided us to this exact spot. And then it seems like finally this like settling of people who kind of want to operate, serve, heal, and do all these other kind of things within their lifetime in very similar or cohesive ways. So it's been from that first moment of being a surprise, I think, yeah, I've been looking for a place where maybe I'm not so
Oh.
surprising. But yeah, other than that, yeah, growing up in Miami was wild. And, since I remember going to a a therapist appointment when I was, I don't know, maybe in like middle school or something, and I was sitting with my parents, and they were talking about kind of my timeline of depression and all this stuff, because I guess we're just gonna drop right in because that's what I'm fluid of.
Yeah. Bring
You
it.
want to go back to the beginning? That has been kind of my narrative for as long as I could possibly imagine. And they kind of told the therapist that when I was like between 3 and 5 is when I started to like be really self deprecating or be
Mm.
really insecure or just say these really mean things to myself. That has definitely, those experiences and having to live through that from such an incredibly young age, I feel like has highly influenced how I operate and live and want to continue to operate today. So it's, it kind of started from this loving home, but still like a dark inner home, I guess you could say, for me. And I've always
Mm.
been curious. And Amber, I know I've talked to you about this, like doing that past life
Past
regression
life.
work, because
Yeah.
from the moment
Yeah.
I came into this world, I was like, I did not come with all of this on my own, on
Right.
my, like regard. Like this
Right.
Totally.
is from other experiences, or we absorb so many things around us. But I was always just like, where did this come from? This isn't mine. And it's kind of been a journey into that, I think, ever since I was younger, just being like, what the hell is going on
Yeah.
brain and in this body, and how do I feel safe, and how do I feel enough for all those narratives. And it's literally been a part of every moment of my existence, I feel.
Mm.
Then it's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
a
that.
lot to carry.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's interesting how you all ask what the earliest memory is, and kind of like
Mhm.
that memory of my mom saying she would never have a blonde, blue-eyed baby wasn't necessarily my memory. I think in a way it has highly influenced this
Yeah.
that I've
For sure.
had in my mind, and now it's just this interesting thing. And I think living here is just the right space to try to navigate the impact of that, and
Yeah.
kind of the impact of like kind of feeling like I guess I was the blonde sheep of the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting because you again you speak about early influences, and I
Mhm.
remember being in elementary school and like talking to people about my name, and I was just like, oh, my maiden name was Press, like press a button. So I was like, oh, my name is Danielle Press. And then if you shorten that, it's D Press. And then I was like, I'm meant to be
Wow.
depressed. And then
My God. That's so
that
sad.
became
Shit.
its own narrative. And it's just like,
Ugh.
as we continue to learn things about the energy things, or just the stories, the narratives that we hear around us, how so many things influence how we react, what we perceive, and how we kind of hold ourselves and how we feel within our bodies. It's just so interesting to look back at all these little things that seemed so not insignificant, but just kind of silly. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
Like,
made
wildly synchronistic in, like, a really challenging way.
yeah, yeah, yes, I was
Mhm.
definitely, and that was, I feel like that was definitely a narrative of my creation, but then it kind of became my identity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
How
so
old were you when you, like, heard your mom say that story about you being blonde hair, blue-eyed?
I don't really know. And I don't think, and I always like to preface, I'm just like, I have the most loveliest parents who love me so much
For
and
sure.
always
Yeah.
have. But and like in her perspective, I don't even know if she thought it to be negative when she did. I don't
For
remember
sure.
when she released
Yeah,
that
of
story.
course.
I'm from this Cuban family. Everyone has dark hair, dark eyes, dark skin. Like I said, even my dad had like darker features and stuff like that. And I think it was just this like, I don't know, I can never create that, I guess you could say. And now whenever we joke about anything that makes me unique compared to everyone else in my family, I'm like, you called me in, woman.
Yeah.
I am of you, so sorry. I'm not sorry, but yeah,
It's
I'm
so
not like
wild how those things can, like, really shape and influence us when it's, like, the parent doesn't even realize the weight
And they're
of
probably
saying
just
something like that.
joking.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
totally,
and how much it can really, like, actually impact you and the trajectory of your life too.
totally. This sounds so silly, but there's this like Simpsons episode, and I think, like, Lisa Simpson starts taking some medication that, like, makes her gain weight, and Marge says something like, "Oh, how's my little chunky baby?" or something like
Uh,
that, and it's this
uh-huh.
bubble, and it's the word, and it sees it go into, like, her brain and then, like, kind of embed itself in her brain and then expand over time, and even though it wasn't this purposefully mean thing, it kind of,
Yeah,
like, took a life on its own when she,
totally.
kind of like people talk about kind of watering those stories and those beliefs in
Mhm.
our brain and stuff like that, and even though it was The Simpsons, that had such a profound impact on me. I was like, even the things
No,
that
yeah,
aren't
that's deep.
or don't have anything negative necessarily with a connotation, like, they just embed, and then we
Mhm.
inadvertently water those stories and
Mhm.
help them grow until they're kind of, like, beyond what even the original was, it feels
It's a
sometimes.
broadcast message that's, like,
Yeah.
you just take on energetically without even realizing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I would love to know what it was like growing up in Miami.
It was wonderful and wild and terribly challenging at the same time. I mean, I can't speak for everybody's experience. Like I said, I was a pretty sad kid growing up, and I don't know if it's because during the time no one else was talking about it, and I was the only one that was. I mean, I couldn't hide it even if I wanted to. So it was really beyond my control to try to even control the narrative of other people's ideas of me or what my identity was. So I can't speak for everyone, but it was definitely challenging. I mean, Miami is it's so beautiful and it's so vibey and it's so cultured, but it's also rooted in a lot of egocentrism and kind of everyone is the most important one. And are you beautiful enough? And this is how you present yourself, and this is how you're
Mm.
valued, and this is what your worth is. And, can you get into that club, or can you look good enough to get into that club? And like all of these kind of things, at least for me, like I said, I can't speak to anyone else. I was the only one who I felt was quite as deep in the shit compared to everyone else. So I can't speak,
Mhm.
but for me it was a pervasive message of kind of that being valuable, and I don't know if this was a reflection of that, but I mean, since I was a little girl, I didn't want my hair brushed, and I didn't wanna be in brushes or dresses, and I wanted to be just dirty and a tomboy, and I think a
That's not
lot of young
Miami.
girls kind of deal with that, as a response to a lot of things around them, kind of like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, maybe I don't feel
I
that
don't
way."
fit in there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go
Mhm.
direction here. Um
Mhm.
so there was definitely a lot of insecurity. And again, I'll
Mhm.
only speak from my perspective, but it was yeah, it was a big city where beautiful people seem to get everything that they want.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
um
Did you leave Miami, like, right after high school?
yeah, immediately. I went to I started off at Florida State in Northern Florida, and then I went to transferred to UF in Gainesville. And before my diploma was printed, I was off to Ecuador, and then the rest of my life changed. So, or I was off to
Yeah.
Korea. Sorry, I was off to Korea, and then the rest of my life changed. So, yes, the moment I possibly could, and it's taken me a really, really long time. It's only been in the last couple of years that I feel like I could even go back to Miami without getting anxiety and without feeling like
Wow.
just this fear, I guess you could say, or this tension, and a lot of it, I don't know, I tend to hold on to a lot of stuff as something that I did. It's something I'm working on, but, a lot of it may have been my perspective, but now I
I feel that.
finally can go back with, like, a very different lens, and that's been really enjoyable. But yeah, it was a quick departure as soon as I was of age.
Yeah, walk us through that because you've been so many places and you've done so many things, and I really wanna hear about all of the places you lived and everything that's happened during that time.
Yeah. So just based on all of my shit that I carried with me and kind of blamed Miami and everyone around me for when I was younger, like I said, I left as soon as I can, and then I became an anthropology major because I was just
Okay.
interested in so
Fun.
many other places.
Mhm.
And It was my last year that I was able to go right before I graduated, I was able to go on a class trip to Ecuador, and we stayed with these different indigenous groups, and we had these different experiences, and it wildly changed my life, for various reasons, and I kind of came home and imploded my entire life because it almost felt like that was what was necessary in order
Yeah.
to leave, I guess you could say, like, I was so young and there were some people I could have returned home to who were expecting me to return home to them, and I just couldn't, but I also didn't know how to stand up for what I needed or what fulfilled me or what I felt called to. So instead, I just blew my whole life up as a 19, 20, or 21-year-old does
Yep.
sometimes.
Mhm.
And came home from that school trip and told my family that I was not coming back to Miami. I told a boyfriend at the time I was not coming back to Miami. I told everyone who cared about me I was not coming back to Miami. And I happened to know someone or a couple of people actually who had moved to South Korea to teach English, got that interview and left. Like I said, before the diploma was even printed. And then that's where I met Jeff my husband, within the first like month. I think I was 23. I was freshly 23. And we
Wow.
spent 2 years there and then, backpacked a bunch, and then we were, visiting Miami when we were gonna move to Taiwan, and that's when I got into the boat accident that I got into that was we could get into more detail later if you'd like, but just to keep the chronology
Mhm.
going, a year and a half was spent
Mhm.
recovering in Miami, and then we made it to
Mhm.
Taiwan, and then we made it to Jamaica, and then we made it to
Wow.
California, and then we converted a van and somebody wrote Ashland on a Post-it note. Then we Jeff was really diligent on Zillow and whatever those real estate things are, and he saw this house and this land that we now get to call our home, and it's actually even serendipitous, that story, because we came to Ashland, we couldn't see the house, we had to leave back to Miami for a doctor's appointment for me. The house went off the market, we
Mm.
just thought we lost it. He's Canadian, so he had to get his immigration interview in San Jose. We spent some time in San Diego. Next thing we know, we have an appointment for his interview. And then the house, we saw it on the market that exact day that we realized that
Wow.
we come back north for his interview. And we just looked at each other and we were like, this is why we're on this journey, is to kind of
Ugh.
find where we're supposed to root ourselves. And we just drove up and made an appointment, and then the next day they called us and told us they accepted the offer, and we didn't
Oh
even
my
know if Jeff
gosh.
was accepted into the country. So we didn't tell any of our family or friends 'cause we thought they would think we were insane. And
Uh-huh.
then yeah, and that's the long story extremely short about the trajectory in the different countries and the different things that all aligned that brought us to this exact spot.
Wow. That's so wild. I didn't realize that you all had met, like, so young
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
That's really cool, and, like, literally had been together through so much and that he was around during the boat accident too. I didn't
yeah,
realize.
poor guy.
I know, so traumatic for you both.
Do you want to tell us the story of what happened there? And were you just visiting Miami to see family?
Yeah, so we were in between living in Korea and like backpacking and then moving to Taiwan. So Jeff went tree planting in Canada for a couple of months and I hung in Miami to just be with my family until we left again. And he came to visit and we were going to leave 2 weeks later because since we met in Korea, he hadn't had much time to get to know my family, and they're extremely important to me. So
Uh-huh.
we just wanted to have that time together. So I think it was, yeah, 2 weeks before we were supposed to leave or so, and we just went out on a boat with friends because that is one of the best parts about Miami is the
Mhm.
ocean and everyone's access to the water and just being able to spend a lot of your time on the water, and it's the best part. But it could be a little bit wild out there and a bit of a party. And we went with some friends on their boat, and I went swimming, and I asked Jeff to meet me in the water with him. or I asked Jeff to meet me in the water, and he was finishing up a drink. So he just said, he asked if I could wait 5 minutes actually. And I said, no,
Oh,
the water was just too beautiful and I'll just meet him in there and we would just enjoy the rest of our day. And then within those 5 minutes, a boat had backed up and caught my Achilles and then dragged me into it essentially and like was shredding up my leg and across my butt and started to hit my ribs. And that's when they turned off the motor.
oh,
And a lot of like someone saw it from the distance and then someone over here saw it. And then a lot of people like this perfect storm of everyone I would have needed there to help me. Like my cousin was a paramedic or an EMT at the time.
wow.
Our other friend was an EMT or a paramedic. I can't remember exactly which. They all acted incredibly quickly. Jeff was there holding my leg together. All of my best friends were there.
Ugh,
It was almost everyone that I knew in
ugh,
Miami was there that day. And yeah, and I like to think that Jeff kind of screaming and not screaming, but yelling at me and trying to keep me conscious
yeah,
is what essentially I like to believe kept me in my body because I lost like 50% of my blood pretty immediately,
wow.
just because the wounds were so big and I was in the water. So the nature of that just kind of
Mhm.
created that experience. And then I kind of just got dropped on a dock and luckily, my dad was a chief of police for that area. So when the call came out and my name went out onto the radio, they heard as well as the ambulance. So they both arrived on the scene. And then they essentially escorted the ambulance to the hospital. And everyone, allegedly, I wasn't very present.
Mhm.
Everyone in the ER apparently just stopped what they were doing and
Ugh,
rushed and were throwing bags of blood, and they said that if it was, like, 60 seconds more, it probably would have been,
Jesus.
um, not possible to come back from,
That's
because I showed
so
up
wild.
and stuff, so yeah, and then I became paralyzed. So the
Yeah.
journey continued because it severed my sciatic nerve, um, from the knee down, so it severed it behind my hamstring, so I'm paralyzed from the knee down. And but then I became the first person in the world to receive this new nerve surgery, so that was kind of
Oh,
cool just to be a part of something, whether or not it benefited me as much as it'll benefit somebody in the future. It still allowed me to find a little bit more purpose in what had happened and kind of use it for something really positive, in the midst of just a terrible shitstorm of horrific awfulness, essentially. Um,
yeah, that's so intense. You're so, like, we're so lucky that you are here still. That sounds, like, so intense and just, like, how it all came together and, like, to only really be so aware of it too, I'm sure, because you just were so mangled.
I'm
yeah.
curious if you so since you didn't have a pulse,
Yeah.
and tell me if this is annoying, but, like, do you feel like you had, like, a near-death experience? Do you remember anything
Yeah.
at all during that time?
I always feel like such a disappointment to people because
You're not.
I get asked this so many times. I'm like, maybe I didn't die quite
You were
enough.
on the other side of the veil. Tell us everything,
She said I didn't die enough. Danielle?
If the only thing that I could speak of to my experience was that it would have been really I didn't like see a light or anything like that. Like for me, it
Okay.
kind of was like this fade out. And the thing that I take from it was more that it would have been really easy to just fade away.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
was kind of to me, it was like yeah, kind of just like a darkness. I mean, I don't really have the big
Nothing
experience,
profound.
but I
Yeah.
feel like I'm like, "Damn, maybe that 1 extra minute would have given me that super near light."
Yeah, rude.
So now it's so funny, my friend is a psychology major and she's getting her master's, and I guess there's all of these studies that show that people who have near-death experiences have an awful time with technology, and just from
Oh, how
our
funny.
first moments of it and every other moment that I have with technology, I'm like, "You know what? This shit checks out." I'm like, "We're just a glitch in the matrix, and so the
Right.
Yeah.
to do with us or
What?
something because Yeah, so that's I'm still plagued with paralysis and technology issues. That's
So
So what's
interesting.
the first thing you remember, I guess, from, like, waking up?
the first thing that I remember is um wanting to see Jeff.
Yeah.
I woke up in the ICU. I had been out for a couple of days and I woke up and they had to restrain me to the
Mm,
hospital bed because I had to get intubated, so I
uh,
was fighting them when they were trying to put the tube down my throat, I suppose. So I woke up restrained, which was unintubated, which is an intense thing,
Very
and
yeah.
jarring.
obviously, and um I took my finger and I wrote Jeff in the air, and
Uh,
that's my first memory.
Is it like sleeping and waking up from sleep kind of, like, in that moment?
If your sleep is like an absolute nightmare and complete shock to every part of your system.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just am like you're, like, obviously not, like, dreaming, and you don't remember, like,
It's
hearing anything?
no, not
Interesting.
until like that one first moment was the first moment, and my first thought was 100% Jeff and just needing to see him. But no, I don't
Was he
that's
there?
why I feel like the fading out would have been kind of easy.
Right.
And yeah, I wish there was something more, but it was just kind of a wake up, a shock, and then a where's Jeff from what I
Yeah.
at least, because obviously I was yeah,
Yeah.
and on a lot of things.
Yeah, what's, like, the last memory you had? Like, do you have, like, an awareness of it happening and, like, being freaked
Yes.
out?
Yes. Well, the last out of water memory would have been me telling Jeff that I'll meet him in the water and that I wasn't gonna wait, which is
Ugh.
that, like, decision that
Yep.
kinda haunts
Ugh.
you forever, and I do remember kind of being just, like, thrown around, like, I felt like I was just I when I was younger and I was first talking about this a lot because it was all over the place.
Mhm.
Especially because my dad is a public figure
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
family, and it was in his jurisdiction, and water accidents happen all the time, and then the nerve surgery I talked about it a
yeah.
lot, and I always likened it to kind of like being in a washing machine, like, I was just
Oh. Mhm.
it was just kinda getting thrown around all over the place, but I don't remember, like, feeling that pain necessarily. I remember coming out of the water and someone asked if I needed help, and I kinda just, like, looked down, and I was just in a pool of blood, and I just
Yeah,
kinda, like, nodded at them because I couldn't really speak at that point, and that's kind of the last real thing I remember is kinda get that moment of
yeah.
knowing someone was gonna help me, and then I remember kind of getting into the ambulance for a moment, and like I said, my cousin was helping
Mm.
me, and
Mhm.
I was just telling him that I couldn't feel
Oh,
my leg and that I didn't wanna die. But a lot of it's interesting when you have
ugh.
these experiences because a lot of your memory and this is another reason why I would like to go down this rabbit hole with you, is because a lot of your
Yeah,
memories do belong to other people. And so it's
yeah,
hard to
Right.
differentiate sometimes what's yours. Like, I know that obviously no one was in the
yeah,
water with me. Remember that kinda, like, chaotic feeling of being in the water and that moment of getting pulled out, but a lot of what you then end up recalling are from
yeah.
other people's stories, and it's kind of a little bit, I think, for me, jarring because I do have this kind of what is it? This space in between what feels like mine and what doesn't.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to go through the healing process of this all as well because I find that, when you're in it, you wanna be as far away from it as possible, and now that I'm,
Yeah.
I think 12 years out of it. I was 25 when it happened. I turned 26 in the hospital. I don't wanna lose any of the memories of it, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Like, and
Mm,
then it becomes this
Yeah.
weird kind of battle of, like, what's the extent of healing that I want to do without losing how connected I was to this huge thing that happened to me, and how much does this huge thing define me versus just become part of the bigger picture of me? Like, how much space does it
yeah,
take up? And when is it appropriate to stop talking about it? And when is it appropriate to talk about it? And like, when is it inappropriate to still be triggered? And is that
Yeah.
even real? Like, is there ever a
yeah.
time for, or
No.
you know, but yeah, it's the whole healing thing is quite a journey, like
It
on all
is.
fronts.
Yeah.
Eating disorders, the
Yeah.
accident, just the whole shebang. It's just a interesting journey to try to, calm aspects of yourself or accept aspects of
Yeah.
yourself or experiences that you've been through, and yeah, like I said, how much of it do you let dictate who
Yeah.
you are, and how much of it do you let just kind of, like, guide you? I know they're kind of the
Mhm.
same words, but, like, maybe different feelings, you know?
Yeah.
I
Well, and
don't
it's your journey. Like
Yeah, that's what I was
there's
gonna say.
literally
No
no
answer.
roadmap
Yeah.
or like rules around it. And I think that's also kind of the tricky thing about healing from any sort of trauma, capital or lowercase t. Like, no one can define that for you. And I think there is like this urgency within ourselves and maybe even sometimes from society around us to like, okay, when is she gonna like be okay though? Like, because
Yeah,
it's, we all need to get back to our own lives or whatever. And then you feel that pressure of like, I'm taking time from other people's lives because of my trauma I've experienced. And, it does like affect so many people that like there's just this pressure that we feel on ourselves. And like, we got to stop that because you can't control it also. Like, I think, especially when it comes to being triggered and like, what does that look like? And I think we just get to like keep taking more pieces. There's just another layer of the experience that's like
mhm.
ready to be witnessed. And so we just have to like hold it like a child and be like, okay, we've got this. Like, here's another part that we are unfolding and connecting with. And like, what does this part of this story need right now? And that's like
Yeah.
all we can really do. We got to be more gentle on ourselves and each other and like and I mean, Jeff probably has so much trauma from this too. And
Oh
so
my
like
goodness.
you guys going through this together, I mean, it's kind of a blessing in that way because then you both get to kind of like hold each other when the triggers are coming up, but then it's also like probably triggering each other and it's like it's tricky, but yeah, I think there's no rush or finish line. Like it's a part of your story in this body in this lifetime, and there will continue to be pieces around it that influence your life and your becoming, and also that like continue to need healing and love.
I also think, like, what the way you handle it and what you take from it and, like, what you feel like is right may not be what someone else wants for themselves if they were to even go through
Yeah.
the exact same thing. So there is no, like, right answer. So
No.
just being open to whatever your journey is what's right.
I agree with both of you, and we could know all this to be true. It's just like so
Yeah,
many other
easier
things.
said than done.
Absolutely, and I
Yeah.
would say that to
Yeah.
somebody else and all of
Exactly.
those things, but it's always interesting when you're in it
Yeah.
yourself and you're
Totally.
trying to talk to yourself the way that you would talk to a client or you would talk to a friend or you would talk to somebody
It's very hard.
that is experienced something, and my goodness, I mean, I've been connected to so many people who have gone through traumatic things because of this accident,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I could say all of the things, but when you're
Mhm.
in the thick of it,
Yeah.
it's just or, in the trigger or in this or that, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really hard to pull yourself out sometimes and
Mhm.
view it from that, and I think that's what continued healing helps you do is, like, become a witness or observer to it happening instead of being reactive to what's happening,
Mhm.
and yeah, and the support you have, I
Yeah.
think, is
Yeah.
the
The
determining factor.
the people that can hold
So
up a mirror and reflect like that kindness to you and pull out the tools out of your toolbox that you've forgotten about in the moment can help
Yes.
you.
I do wanna talk about, like, so when you woke up and you asked for Jeff, like, was he there? Was he always there? Did he ever leave
Mm.
your bedside? Were you already married at this point?
No, we had been together for I think like a couple of years, but again, we had kind of known the depth of how much we cared about each other, but no one from our homes knew the depth, besides talking to us on
Mhm.
Skype or, like kind of those, virtual meetings and stuff like that that happened, but it wasn't that deeper connection that could happen over the course of that. So was him visiting and meeting my family, and so when this happened, they were in their own trauma,
Yes.
obviously,
Yeah.
and our family unit, is so, so, so close, like, even though my parents are divorced, like, we've maintained this ability to still show up for each other. And, that never comes into that's never really a factor when it comes to like something serious happening within our family. We just support each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were highly protective.
Right.
And Jeff like just comes in like before this whole happened, he's just this like lackadaisical
Yeah,
Canadian
it's
dude
just
and like,
chill.
all this stuff, like so chill. And he was there. I mean, he never left the hospital. He was actually walking around in circles, staring at the moon, saying that we were going to look at it together again. So that's what he was
Oh,
doing in the first 2 days or so before I woke up, because I had kind of prepared my family that it wasn't good. So there
yeah.
was definitely an area and a time of uncertainty. So that's what he was doing. And then he was one of the first faces I saw. And he never, ever, 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 ever left or ever wavered. And
Mm,
my family did try to just be like, this is really intense. And you were supposed to move to Taiwan. Like, my life got put on hold, but
mhm,
Jeff's life, all of our lives got put on hold because of this. Like, I was
mhm,
affected by this in one capacity, but my family and Jeff and some friends around me were affected in a completely different capacity.
mhm,
Whether it was that they didn't fully like trust this new guy or they just didn't know how committed he was and they were just
mhm,
so decision on me. They were kind of like a little pushy, on a little pushy
mhm.
about just being like, "We got this. Like, you could go back home. Like, you could go to Taiwan. You could live the life that you're supposed to live. Like, you don't have to stay here." And I remember my sister took my parents out of the hospital room one day and was just like, "If he leaves, like, she will never forgive you and she will never get better."
Ooh, yeah.
And she kinda, like, dropped some knowledge on them or just dropped, like, this reality on them because I think they were just too caught up in my survival that they weren't registering anything else. And
Mhm.
even though it was all from love, it was obviously hurtful to Jeff and stuff like that. And it was challenging for both of us. And everyone just wanted to show up in the right way, but no one knew how to do that.
Yeah, of course.
But Jeff was just like, I'm sorry. Like
Mm,
I'm not going anywhere. And he never, ever, ever did. I think he slept away
mm.
from the hospital one night and we
For
kind
a
of like
year and a half.
no, I wasn't in the hospital for a year,
Okay.
thank
Like,
goodness.
whoa.
No, no, in the earlier days, and it's because we kind of forced him to because he needed to rest and he needed to just have a moment away from the shock of everything,
Mhm.
and he had an incredibly hard time even just that one night, and we were just, like, crying on the phone and all of this stuff, and I mean, we've never really he hasn't really left ever,
Aw.
before, during, or after that, experience, so he along with my family, I mean, were paramount. And now I think that even though there are a lot of challenges that happened during that time between everybody, Jeff has, I mean, my dad is in love with Jeff. Like, my mom and Jeff have this really kind of strong, interesting, unique connection as well, based on things that they did for me together and stuff like that, and,
Mm.
and things that they went through together. So it's just now he's a part of me and he's a part of that experience and he's a part of our family. So, yeah,
And
Jeff's
Jeff's
the
the
best.
best.
Yeah,
Children,
Jeff's the best.
dogs, everybody loves Jeff.
Yeah,
My
yeah. So
child, I'm at home and she's just wakes up and she's like, "Where's Jeff?" I'm like, "I don't know. He's probably at home."
I called my nephew. He saw my face. He goes, "What's Jeff doing?" I was like, "He's working, buddy.
What
Sorry
about
to
me?
disappoint you." But
Oh,
yeah,
Okay,
solid.
so
Just solid.
you get out of the hospital, you're healing, you're obviously having to do like a lot of physical therapy and stuff in Miami. And you said that
mhm.
was about a year and a half, and you did end up going to Taiwan.
Yep, we lived with my mom for a little bit, and then we finally got our apartment. I was in and out of the hospital a couple times because a bunch of surgeries to try to correct certain things or fix certain things. And the nerve surgery, and then I got MRSA, which was kind of annoying. Definitely very
Dang.
Yep.
largely annoying. Um, and we finally got a little bit grounded enough that we were able to make it out to Taiwan, which was also very interesting because we had known some people who lived there and they had their own memories and experiences about like getting the phone call that we weren't going to come and how it affected certain people there. So it was
Oh,
interesting to drop
wow.
in and people were like, "Oh, I heard this story spread like wildfire." So like you just meet someone for the first time and it's like, "Oh, I remember where I was when we found out you weren't coming," or this or that or whatever. So it was
Yeah.
also unique to drop into Taiwan because it wasn't like this blank slate, but we made
Yeah.
it and we did bomb ass shit.
And what was Taiwan like? I
It
wanna
was
go.
Taiwan's a hidden gem, it's a dream. It's volcanoes and so it's, or volcanic, so it's huge mountain things and lushness and
Mhm.
the ocean and the kindest people, and there was a lot of I was still extremely vulnerable, and it took me a long time to be comfortable. People were looking at my leg, and this wasn't just in Taiwan.
Mm.
There wasn't much hesitation in asking me questions about it, and so that was definitely a unique thing of trying to navigate being around so many people who are so curious, and
Mhm.
Yeah. And you're still probably very tender from the trauma of everything.
yes, definitely,
Oh,
definitely. And you kind of, like, navigate it a little bit like I am now, like, I'm being very honest, but you subconsciously keep it lighter because it's, like, protection
yeah.
for you, and then you also kind of try to protect the other people from, like, that shock, I
Shock.
guess. The face that people make when they feel really bad that something bad happened to you.
Yeah.
So you kinda just, like, learn how to tell the story, and sometimes it is sometimes to this day, like, my heart will start beating really fast and, like, my voice will get really shaky, and then sometimes I can kinda just, like, say it without having much of a physical reaction, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it all informs us and how we survive and how strong we are and what our connections are and how to connect with other people and my company's name is Strength Beyond Circumstance and a lot or my the slogan, I guess,
Mhm.
and a lot of that is derived from not just the accident, but depression and,
Mm.
all of those deep, dark things that we can live through and live with and navigate and still kinda come out the other side, and that doesn't mean that we're not gonna come up to it over and over again in various circumstances, just like you said, Amber, but, like, you just learn to live despite the things.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't say this yet, but you're literally a personal trainer,
Yeah.
which is fucking crazy after like everything you've been through because I worked
Seriously.
out with you Wednesday and I'm still sore and I've been going to the gym consistently lifting very heavy for 7 weeks and just one workout with you on Wednesday kicked my ass so hard that I'm like still feeling it and it's like you work out harder and you push yourself harder than anyone I've known ever. Mitchell's kind of psychotic, but you go hard and it's like is strength beyond the circumstance. You're like,
Yeah.
fuck that. I'm still going to do the shit I want to do and I'm going to empower other people that they can do that too.
Yeah, yes, well, thank you.
Mhm.
Both of my mom was a personal trainer and stuff growing up. My dad loved being in the gym. I literally walked into the gym as soon as I legally was able to work out with them, and they were giving me something really positive, but since I was depressed and insecure and dysmorphic and disordery with my eating and stuff, it was a really negative toxic
Yeah.
thing. Like, it was like, "Let me work out for 5 hours and let me, like, deprive and let me starve and let me skip things because of the workout," and it was a really long journey, and Jeff was a part of this journey as well. It was a really long journey of shifting that narrative, and it's one that I think I'll be on forever, but it has, again, informed exactly the way that I want to personal train people because what I'm learning is that I love working out. It's come to the place where it's the only hour that my mind is quiet.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
And like, or it's like a time to think, but for the most part, it's the only time that my mind is quiet. I just am able to be present in my
Clear.
body. It feels like it keeps me sane energy wise. I found all the right reasons for it,
Yes.
essentially. But it has been a really long, long, long journey to get there. Like, when
Mhm.
I talk to people, I always end up talking about the accident, but I would argue that that depression was infinitely harder to overcome and still
Wow.
is than than this hugely traumatic, life-threatening thing that happened to me, because that was this big bad thing, but depression was every day of
Constant.
every moment of every year. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I had my happy moments, like, I can't say that those didn't exist because I was again, I had a lot of people.
Depressed people can be happy, and I think that's what's
Yes,
confusing to people
yes.
is it's like, well, just because I'm, like, out here shaking my ass doesn't mean I'm not crying the next day, like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
fucking duality, I don't know.
Well, and I
yeah,
think too,
totally.
like with the accident, you're like, there's this thing that happened to me that caused this change. Where with depression, it's like, it's not always explainable. It's like
Yes,
sometimes it just is. And I think that's what's hard and frustrating because it's like, well, if we don't know the root cause of it, how do we shift and change or heal and grow from the depression? And it's like, sometimes it's just a chemical imbalance or,
yeah,
it's and even that is such a journey to work through and heal, and it's always changing. Like, it's not one thing forever that's like, "Okay, that's the fix." Uh,
totally, totally. And, like, with training too, I've noticed that people can work out, myself included, a bajillion hours or every single day or do 2 to 3 workouts a day, and I find that they still hate themselves or that they aren't, like, getting the response from their body that they want. And what is so interesting about life, because I never anticipated this to be my role, but I feel like what I'm gonna eventually evolve into it is this trauma-informed personal trainer,
mm,
because the more that I learn, like, the relationship we have with our bodies, the relationship we have with moving, and all of the stories around that are so layered and so deep
mhm,
and run so deep, and it's not like a lot of people show up like, "Oh, I want this physical change," but and then they're just like, "Oh, but I just don't like this," or "I just don't feel like this." But then you get to talk to them and they're like, "Oh, I had this one coach that was really horrific to me," or "This parent would say these things to me,"
mhm,
or "I would get this story or this narrative from school or people in school or all the movies and all the things that we were exposed to." And it's this really actually delicate and vulnerable place to step into when you
yeah,
decide to do that. And what I'm coming to learn, and now I coach breath work as well, is that it takes time to feel safe in your body. And, like,
yeah,
sometimes now I'm not even just physically moving with people, but I'm, like, doing breath work with them beforehand so that they can drop into their body a little bit more, so
mhm,
they can be more present, so we can release certain narratives. And then, like, sometimes our session is us talking, and sometimes our session is us moving so slowly and so gently, like, there is not a squat in sight. But it's because, like, and it's what I've learned through my body and my experience, and that's why I'm so grateful for all of it, is that, like, this shit is hard, and, like, to feel comfortable to drop into those spaces is fucking hard, and
mhm,
it takes a lot more time, I think, than people realize. And it's, like,
Yeah.
been, I think, the greatest lesson and the most insight I have experienced as a trainer is of the last year or 2. And I don't know if it's the clients that I'm calling in
Yeah,
or, like, what I'm attracting, but
mhm.
this is, like, I'm noticing more change from
totally.
taking it this slow than being like, "We're gonna go balls to the wall immediately, bitches." Like, it
Just you
just
bringing all this up, it makes me really emotional because it's just so deep. There's so much tied to it. It's like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I think people need that.
yeah, I mean, because it is delicate, and it's like, you can work so hard, but if you have a lot of tension or you have a lot of anxiety or stress or you have all of these negative stories, it does your response, your body's response and also your mind's response and what you feel you're capable of are totally impacted. So, like, before a class, I'm always like, greet yourself. Ask yourself what kind of place you are in today. Is this energy that you kind of need to move slowly, or is this energy that you want to kind of use to your advantage? Because sometimes that, like, anger or frustration can be
Totally.
like a tool as well. But
Mhm.
but it takes time to kind of learn that, and it's taken me time because I've thought forever, if it's not balls to the wall, I'm just wasting my time. But I was hurting myself and I wasn't, like, things may have looked a certain way on the outside, but it didn't feel that way on the inside and it still
Mhm.
felt toxic. And like, I just don't think enough people and trainers do this for people. And I'm just saying this because I hope people think about it more. Like, you should
Yeah.
be, I have every client that walks in, we have options. Like, is it a slower day or is it a day that we can push? And do we need to drop in a different capacity? I've literally had some clients where like we have sat on the floor in my gym and talked the entire hour because that's what they needed. And I'll also just ask
Wow.
them to notice the words that they are saying to themselves. Like when they're uncomfortable in a workout or when they're even just starting, like, oh, I'm like not going to be able to do this, or oh, this is going to be really hard, or oh, like I can't perform these things, or whatever the narrative is. It's going to influence like the way that you perform and the way that and then what you feel capable of. So I'm always just like, notice the way that you're speaking to yourself as you're stepping into this movement. And not that you can fix it and not that it should be necessarily fixed, but you could take note of it and then start to try to create these different pathways for yourself. Like what we
Mhm.
said, like the awareness is kind of the first thing. Like, oh, I didn't even realize I was talking shit to myself this entire session.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Or I didn't realize that I was like holding so much tension this entire session. Or I didn't realize that like I will never allow myself rest time because I think that that's like weakness or me not being strong enough. And it's all
Mhm.
these little things that I'm really trying so hard to like alter and impart on people. And it's like the journey that I still go through myself on a regular basis because that's just life. Like there's no end point to it. You're
And
just evolving.
society tells us over and over, like, how we're supposed to be and what the right thing is, and if you're doing this, you're wrong, but then you scroll to the next video and they're saying the complete opposite thing, so you don't know what is right or wrong, and then you don't trust yourself, and it's just, like, so fucking exhausting.
Totally. And I think I read somewhere it was like an amazing quote. It was like women's bodies shouldn't be like fashion trends, essentially.
Totally.
And it was like this notion
But
that
they
like,
are.
yeah, like you need big boobs and a small waist. Now you need a huge ass and small boobs. Now you need to
Yeah.
be voluptuous. Now need to be like hyper thin from the 90s. And it's just
Yeah.
we're supposed to fluctuate our bodies to that extent each decade.
Exactly. It's fucking crazy.
It
But it's
is crazy.
also, like, and how things are, like, could be good or bad. It's like you Google, like, "Is coffee bad for me?" And it's gonna be like, "Yeah, this is so bad for you." And you Google, "Is coffee good for me?" And then it gives you, like, 10 reasons why it's good for you. And so it's like, we never know what's right or wrong, and you can look up a health thing, and it tells you one thing. So just having, like, a guide, like your little someone to help you, and you're so good at all that, and you give so much, like, free content away too, and just, like, so much stuff that's, like, affordable and accessible for people online too, and I just am so grateful that you have all of those offerings. And a lot of stuff you do is donation based too.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to be accessible. Like, I
Mhm.
want it to feel like these things can fit into someone's lives. Like, that's why I kind of made
Mhm.
an app because I only have a certain amount of time in my life, but I could never just be like, I'm going to write this for you. And then just like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't,
Yeah.
and then just
Right.
leave you to it. Like, I would feel awful doing that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I try to, whether it's the app or whether it is the classes or one-on-one or whatever the case is. Yeah, it's always just, I always think that you should make the workout fit you rather than you having to fit the workout. Like there's so many ways for us to move, to modify, to adapt, to shift. Like I just provide a framework and then you get to like listen to where you are in your body and on your journey and honor that place, and then you do get to play with like pushing the boundaries a little bit and stuff like that. But I think first comes being able to listen.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And yeah, I love this so much and I love being of service, and now with the breath work it all just feels like I get to help people in a deeper capacity than just like telling people how many lunges they're supposed to do in
Mhm.
Yeah.
a session. And it feels like a blessing to kind of evolve in this capacity and
Yeah.
notice these like nuances of how I could actually make someone feel. Like I the other day I was like, I would never be a bodybuilder coach. Like I just cannot be like Like, sorry, bro, like, you're not feeling it today, like, you're gonna have to fucking squat 200. I don't care.
Eat your chicken.
Yeah, it's just I'm like, I'm like, "Your body doesn't feel doesn't feel the
It's
same."
okay.
We need that so much though. Like, I think that's so important and like so many people who are, maybe not like familiar with like gym working out or like what they should be doing and for you to like be very nurturing and meeting people exactly where they are and not just where they are like at the beginning of the journey, but like every single time that you meet them and you're giving so much permission not just for the workout but for like life in general, like because we are in the society of like go hard and keep going and oh you're tired, too bad, you still have to show up. And like the just listening to you talk about like the abundance possibilities in a workout by taking it slow is like so real, I think, in so many areas of our life. Like I was realizing that this last week, even leading up to Moonlight and Magic, I had just come off of a women's retreat where everything was like I was able to slow down and I had to slow down for sign language interpreters. And like there was all these pieces where slowing down, I was like, I feel like so much more came out of that weekend by slowing down. And
Mm,
like, I was like, I don't want to rush for anything. I don't want to like force my body to keep producing and overdoing it. And it's been this constant nonstop. And so like in realizing how much was getting done by slowing down, I love that like that is an option in working out with you where you're like, no, let's literally like if what you need is a moment to like get that out of your body, like that's literally releasing weight from the body
mhm.
by having that opportunity to connect emotionally and like talk about what's going on. We're allowing ourselves to let that weight go and how much can actually transform within your body because we're holding on to so much within
Totally.
ourselves and like a lot of frustration. Like for me, I know when I am working out is like not seeing results, but it's like, well, I'm really stressed and I'm forcing myself to do all of this stuff nonstop that like the weight right here isn't going to go anywhere because you're holding on to all that cortisol. Like
Mhm.
it's a hormonal thing from just life. And so to like be able to meet with people in that way and just like it's so nurturing, it's so feminine in this like masculine world. And I think like you get to kind of be that model to maybe also inspire other trainers who feel the same and don't realize that they can be the difference in that environment too. It's fucking cool.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like we're of the generation we're that, like we're the middle ground generation in so many
Mhm.
areas of life, and it's everything that we were exposed to or shamed about or felt guilty about when we were growing up, like, now is just like, "Oh, like, you're not going to therapy? Like, oh, you're, like, not doing this? Like, you're not being so open and vulnerable about all of your trauma? Like, or you're not, like, you feel like you could actually take a rest?" Like, all of these things we have to unlearn,
Yeah, we're
and
changing a
it's
lot.
almost like at least in my experience, I'm almost feeling like it's also helping me heal by giving people the narrative that I needed and, like,
Yeah.
the stories that I needed or the words that I needed, and even though, like, no one was pushing me to deprive or to be so excessive or to be so obsessive with all of those things or to, like, hate or hurt or do all of these things to myself. Like, it's almost like when you're in an inner child meditation and you're thinking back to an experience and you're like, "What did I need and what can I give myself at that time?" That's kind of how I have learned to serve as a trainer and as a breathwork coach is like, I know that if I have this narrative, I'm pretty sure the majority of us
Mhm.
also have this narrative. So, like, yeah, what can we fill that space with? And that's where the breath work also comes in, like to be able to release or make noise or be vocal, because our breath work is very somatic and
Yeah.
it's a very vocal experience. And you get to like release or move this energy, and then you get to be like, okay, now what can I fill it with that I need?
Mhm.
Or that helps me expand or helps me heal or whatever the case is, whatever word we wanna throw in there for it. Yeah, it's all a very interesting journey, and I think the more that we learn about this stuff and it's just so cool that like all of this has been intuitive for so long among so many people, and then it was forgotten, and
Mhm.
now it's coming back into people's experiences, and science is being able to like show these things. What
Mhm.
happens to the nervous system? What parts of the brain are getting activated during trauma? Where does our trauma sit in the brain, and why does it seem like our traumatic experiences hold more space and more weight than our good ones?
Yeah.
We're able to like these things that people knew inherently thousands of years ago, we're now getting to put this like research to connect it, and
Yeah.
hopefully like if someone's not like just into like the idea of it, then there is this backing now of being like, no, all of this stuff is happening and this is very real and this work is very real, and
Yeah.
it's not just this woo-woo shit that some,
Mhm.
like, hippie in Ashland is just, like, throwing at you, like, there's very real basis upon doing all this type of work for yourself and for other people.
Mhm.
100%.
I want to keep us on track because you have to go soon, but I want you to kind of round out, your story and anything that you want to add before we get to the end of this
Uh,
because you have to go to work.
yeah, I do,
I
I
want
have
to keep talking, but you have to work.
No, I mean, I think that if you are in Southern Oregon, we do stuff at Beneath the Trees in our property in Talent, and, if you're ever interested, the breath work that I do is called pyramid breath meditation, and I do offer it just free or donation based every 3rd Sunday, unless something comes up like this past Sunday, which we were all
Never gonna do that. Yeah.
recouping after our big event. I was like, "This is not gonna
That's
happen this."
not happening this time.
But for the most part, I would love if anyone was interested in it to reach out to me,
Mhm.
just because I think it's so powerful, and I think having this even just this conversation, being able to talk about these things with each other so openly and being able to, like, share these things, like, bringing it all back full circle to this community in this valley that we live in, like, everyone is kind of seeking something
Healing.
that makes them feel more expansive, I
Yeah.
guess, or
It's a
something that
crazy
is gonna
place.
past something. It is kind of a crazy place, but we love the
It's a
crazy.
crazy place.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the bowl we live in. It's just stirring up all the energy
Yeah.
inside and
Yeah,
I don't know.
being in proximity to Mount Shasta or something, or just,
Yeah.
Right.
coming out to us. But yeah,
Um,
no, I just, I don't
and
know
then
what
you
else.
have your app.
Yes, yes,
If you
thank
are
you.
not local, you have your app. You can find it on your Instagram. We will tag your Instagram below.
Yep, I have a couple of programs up there, one if you just have dumbbells at home,
And
one
they're
if
like
you have.
$5.
Yeah,
It's
mostly. Well,
like
the gym one is like 9.99,
whatever.
but
It's
So
so good. You can do
inexpensive.
it at home. It's a great value. I send it to all my friends that want to work out but
yeah,
don't live
and there's gonna
here.
be
And
meditations on there as well.
also
Yeah, I
Danielle
don't know if
for
we
her the
froze for a
12th
second.
anniversary of her accident climbed Mount Whitney like 2 weeks
I
ago,
know.
which is what the tallest mountain spot
Did I
in
lose
America?
ya?
Oh no.
Did we lose?
Trying to reconnect. Her near death antenna is getting in the way of the internet.
Oh, hi.
She's back.
I was just bragging about how you climbed Mount Whitney for the 12th anniversary of your accident, which is what, the tallest point
In
in
the
America?
contiguous US?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
which I
cool.
think is the mainland, I suppose.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a big, beautiful world out there that we
Yeah.
all need to experience and absorb. I don't know if
Love
y'all
it.
can hear me.
Such a badass. I'm so glad I know you.
Okay, you want to ask your
I'm so
question?
glad I know you all. We all bring badassery in different capacities.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
And
take
more
it.
to come. So
It's
much more
just the
to come.
beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna ask you a couple of questions before we let you go. Our first
Okay.
one is, and I'm sure we can guess this, but what is something that you do for self-care that you just can't live without?
Well, I guess, the answer might be obvious at this point. But it isn't, it's actually okay. It's obvious, but it's not obvious. It's definitely movement, but it's movement with the intention of being able to do big things in life. Like, I think that doing great things in the gym is fun, and I love that for people, and that's a great goal, and I love being in there. But when I see it translate to what I can do outside, because that's where I really do get my self-care, like to be in the middle of absolute nowhere with Jeff is probably my greatest joy in the whole world. So that's what I seek out when I really need it. And I just, yeah, like what can you do or what can I do with my life based on the things that I do on a daily basis? So that's why the self-care or the movement is so important to me, because it means more to me than just like PRing in a gym. It's being able to like do a big mountain or do an excursion or just not think twice about something. And I actually need to get better at different types of self-care though, if we're being honest. Your girl could use downtime. I really love
Right.
people to do it, but I really
Come
could.
get your hair done again. It's
Yeah, I know.
time.
Just doing that, I'm like, oh my God, there's other things I could be doing in these 30
You
minutes.
could get Reiki. You could do your
Like,
past life regression.
yeah, as you asked me that question, it
I also
isn't.
think spending time with your friends and community is like a great thing that we all do for self-care, and you have like great people around you, and that nourishes me a lot. I know.
Totally. But and you know, actually saying no to more things is actually nourishing me a lot too, though. Or just
Yes.
like I'm in a quieter time in my life, and what can that look like? I had a day, this is a fast story, but I had a Friday night, and I was like, oh, I could like pour myself a drink. Jeff was at work or doing something, and then I was like, no, Danielle, you always speak about doing these other things for yourself. And so I put on some music and I put on a mask and I did some dry brushing and I did some like
Cute.
really gentle mobility, and I started crying in the middle of it because I was just like, growing up with the depression, with all that stuff, I was like, you've only ever wanted to hurt yourself, and you've like never taken this time to like actually be like luxurious to yourself. And it was this really profound moment and stuck out to me so much as of healing. And so that's kind of like my goal for the winter, is to do more of that, and like, and to love, like, to like do stuff that physically loves on my body, not just like ask it, you know, but just like really, really, really nourishes it. So that's
I love
my
that.
goal
I
for
love
here.
that.
Wonder when I'll have alone time again someday. Maybe in 5 years. Okay, so if you could, this is kind of follows exactly what you were just saying, but if you could tell your younger self, as far back as you remember, all the way up to yesterday, one thing, what would it be?
That even when you're in like the most hopeless, deepest, darkest shit, which I would say again was even not even related to the accident at all, that your life can just like unfold in this really exceptional, beautiful, incredible way. And I've, you know, whenever I talk to anyone who's been through depression or has been suicidal or anything like that, like, or when we have had friends who have unfortunately passed away from certain circumstances, that's what I always want to tell them as well. Like, you just never know, like, when the shift is going to happen, and it may be a slow burn and it may not even be apparent, but then one day you're dry brushing yourself with a mask on and you're crying because you like never even thought that you would ever even reach this place. And I think that's what I would love to tell my younger self, is just like, you just never know, like, how beautiful life can be.
Oh, I love
Thank
that
you,
answer so
Danielle.
much. That's so inspiring.
Will you pull us a
Yeah, I'm
card?
gonna pull us a quickie. It's from a new deck that I just got. Rebecca Campbell, she's like one of my favorite deck creators,
The
and
most beautiful.
like just her words are great. The art, the people she gets to do artwork is always awesome. But there's one called The Inner Temple, and it just kind of feels like very embodied too, which like feels spot on for all the magic that you do. So let's just take some deep breaths while I shuffle, and asking the cards to give us the message that we all need to hear right now. Okay. She went flying. Gosh. Okay. There too. Let's see. Okay.
Give me one.
You get that one.
Okay.
It's the ceremony of life. It is such a beautiful card. There's lots of light beaming, and she's like dancing on some water. So pretty.
Oh.
Which one did you get?
Mine just says golden.
Oh,
No, I'm crying again.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just like holding a little ball of light near her heart, and all these like gold, like lights are coming out of it.
I know that that is for the collective, but they feel so
Yeah.
individual at the same time and like
Yeah.
to all of us in different capacity.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, this
we
lady
are
is
part of the collective. So it's
Yeah.
like literally it is a message for us too.
yeah, this lady in the ceremony of life is literally like moving and
Yeah,
dancing, and she's
it's
like in the
movement.
wild. Yeah.
It's
Hot water.
celebrating.
On water.
But it's like ritualistic. It's like this feels like so like like being on the water and like one leg up too. She's just like,
My one strong leg.
yeah, we'll send you pictures, but oh my gosh, it's just yeah, let's celebrate life. And like, I
Yeah.
always think like one of the biggest things for me to remember is that like we literally are so lucky as humans to have a rainbow of emotions, and even the hard ones, like they're so beautiful. And without those like weighted, heavy emotions, we couldn't feel like the ecstasy of
Yes.
life. Like it just all would be so fucking boring. And so I know we're always like trying to climb out of those deep dark parts of ourselves to get to the good feeling parts because that's what we want, but it's like they're just as fucking good too, you know?
Totally. Oh my God. I mean, in the meditation, like it's all about being
What
able
the
to
hell?
act like witness the full spectrum. Like you may be laughing at one point and crying at the same time. Like you
Oh my
may
god,
feel
this guidebook.
at the same time. All those things can coexist. And it's funny that there's that ball of light because we call that in during the meditation. I almost like ask people to imagine that this ball like starts to drip down their entire being and
Yeah.
like seep into their bodies. And so those
Ugh,
are yeah.
the
Okay, well, the
golden.
book is like crazy what it says, but the golden card said no one is immune to the highs and lows of the human experience.
Stop.
Change is constant, and we're forever being invited to embrace it. Our grief shows us how much we love, and our souls came here to truly live. However, there may be moments in our life where it seems like we're given a golden pass. Everything opens up and seems so right. It's at times like these that we must embrace every single moment, celebrate our wins, sing at the top of our lungs just how grateful we are. This card is the most glorious card to receive. It's a sign that things are golden for you and that life is on your side. What you've been working toward is bearing fruit, and you're in a very special place and being invited to relish in every moment. Just like the golden hour of sunlight before sunset, this card is shining light on how things are working out for you. If it's in a future position in the spread, it means that the golden days are ahead of you soon. So don't give up now, keep going.
Oh
And
my
then it
gosh.
has like a little inner temple activation. So, like a little affirmation. And it says, I relish in this moment right here, right now. I am grateful and I am blessed. It's safe for me to embrace it all right now. And there's nowhere else for me to be and nothing else for me to do.
I love that.
And I couldn't find your card.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Very confusing.
We'll send you the cards and the messages from the book too so that you can like
Yes.
sit and meditate with them later. Oh,
It's so funny for like I would say for like a year and a half or so, and my friends could attest to this, I'd pull a card and I started to become scared of the cards because everything was like, you lost. And there's like all of this stuff you need to figure out. And within the last like 6 months or so, I'd say, they've all been very similar to that, what was just read. And I'm like,
wow.
thank goodness,
You've
because
made it.
that was rough. Woo! Sorry, my light just went out. That was a
Oh, that's
rough
okay.
go there for a second. The card so that card just feels so good and affirmed, and I'm glad I get to
Right.
share that card with you all because I
Yeah,
I
feel like
love
a lot
it.
of the good things also came when I met you ladies.
yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so
Same.
much. I totally agree. Especially, yeah, after that feels like perfect after this weekend that we just had together. And so magical. We're so fucking grateful for you and just everything, and for being here and being open and vulnerable and sharing your heart and your story. And make sure to take really good care of yourself. I know you have to go like take care of others for a little while, but like do something really nourishing for yourself, because it's, no matter how many times you've told the story, it's just another layer that becomes exposed of you. And tell the listeners where they can follow you and find you, and then we'll put everything in the show notes too.
Yep. Well, I'm only on Facebook or Instagram. I tried the TikTok, but I just
So
couldn't
hard.
keep up with all of the things. I can hardly keep up with what I have. But Danielle Crease would be on Facebook, and Embodied by DC Fit would be on Instagram. And then we have a page for our property as well. Thanks to you all, because I was not on that journey yet, but thanks for pushing me into it. Beneath the Trees is the Instagram page for our property. And you could find all the information about my classes. My website is strengthbeyondcircumstance.com, which I realized is really long, and I tried to change it and then I didn't know how to. So we're stuck with it.
Perfect. Yeah, we love it. It's so good.
Strength.com. Yeah, that's where you could sign up for classes and reach out to me and learn more about the story or the property. There's a bunch of like news articles from around that time and stuff as well, if you're interested. So a few places you can find me.
Thank you, Danielle. We appreciate you.
You
We
all
love you.
so much.
This episode has been produced by my husband, Curtis Burgess.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Waking Up the Witch.
And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at wakingupthewitch@gmail.com.
And don't forget to head over to the link in our bio on Instagram for all the ways to connect with both Amber and Taylar. And go to moonbeeswellness.com for all your self-care and witchy needs.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Ow. Ow.